I'm terrible at this. So, I don't know about you, but I feel like everything is a scam nowadays. And so, my only goal is to be as genuine and authentic as possible throughout this entire thing. And I've been making a mistake by polishing my content just a little bit too much and leaning directly into the authority. Here's what I know. Here's what I know how to do. Here's how I can help you buy something from me. And honestly, it just looks desperate at this point. And it looks like every other person I've seen trying to polish their content and look a certain way and be something that they're not, right? And that's just, at this point, a self fulfilling prophecy where they make people perceive them as something that they're not, sell them something, and then they suddenly get everything that they once made people perceive that they were going to get. And then all of a sudden, boom, they get all the things that they faked to get there. It's actually quite genius, and I wish I could do it, but for whatever reason, I can't bring myself to do it. So this honestly just marks the end of polished content for me. Is I'm gonna sit on the ground in the Airbnb that I'm renting because recently I lost fucking everything, genuinely everything. I was in a relationship with a girl, thought I was gonna get married, live the rest of my life, changed my perception on not wanting to ever have children, entertain the idea of having children, blah, this and that. And all of a sudden it's just gone. So it's like, then I'm right back to what now? And honestly, it changed everything for me. I have never been so focused. I have never been so locked in. I have never been so driven to achieve my goals that I think that it was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And before that, I made and lost $38,000 in the same month. Amex came for my throat. Oh man, the story just keeps going, right? And throughout all this time, I knew that one thing was true, that the ideas that I've been sold for my entire life were a scam. That nothing that I believed or that anybody around me was telling me was true. None of it. There's no way any of it was true. Go work a job. Go save your money. Brother, I gotta go work 4 jobs in order to get the things that you got. And I don't know about you, but I've seen that it's possible to bring in absurd amounts of money and make the attention and the money flow towards you temporarily in order to get a piece of it. And so I've been obsessed with that idea ever since. It's just like when a chick hops on a yacht, she's never gonna date a fucking broke dude again. You know what I mean? Life changing. Once you taste success, you can never go back. And that honestly has ruined and elevated my life at the same time. Because now here I am, knowing that I will not be able to settle for 25, 20, 30, 50, 150 bucks an hour when there's people out there that I know, that I've shooken hands with, that I've had conversations with, that understand that money flows in a different way than I've ever been taught. And these people, you gotta understand, they don't care about cash flow. They care about ownership, leverage, and making deals that make them more money, make them more wealthy, make them more powerful. And it's great, but it changes my perspective on how the world works. Because anybody that I ask advice from tells me one thing. You just need to worry about cash flow. You just need to worry about feeding yourself today. But I've tasted more. But I know that there's more out there. So really the premise of this is just to show the raw, genuine, authentic side of what it actually is to build multiple businesses with somebody that thinks like me, where I know a lot, and I've proven it over and over again. And I've spent the past, probably, how long is that now? 8 years learning video production. My first business was video production and social media marketing, so I learned video and ads, polished content, and paid advertising, right? And then from there, I learned how to build systems and automate processes, and I ran a small marketing agency, and I hated the business so much because it was all about basically scamming people. It's just fake business. So I became kind of anti-agency. I was like, holy shit, I can make these things way more efficient for somebody in a quicker amount of time and just give them the crash course on how it works because it really is stupid simple. And I'm not afraid to pivot into something else. And I've been pivoting so many times that I used to see it as failure, right? But now I'm starting to acknowledge that these failures or these times where I was like, oh, it's not working, was actually me realizing that it just wasn't for me. But I learned a lot. Learned so much actually that now I just implement those into different businesses and help other people do the same thing. And I'm not ever going to sell you anything. I'm not ever going to tell you anything that I wouldn't do myself. I'm just documenting where it's at and what my goals are and where it's going. And it's Christmas time, right? And I have nothing to my name, a few $1,000s in my bank account, and 3 businesses that are just barely keeping me afloat right now. Also building a personal brand, selling services to businesses, whether it's fixing their ads in their offer and building their website and implementing AI systems into their business, because that's what I've done for myself. So I'm handing it off to businesses, showing them how it works. Call me an AI consultant, call me an operator, but I don't run an agency. I enjoy helping people, right? And it's just a scam economy at this point. And so January 1st, making a decision to go live out of my vehicle and put everything on the line, like everything on the line. I'm going to travel through Texas, cruise up through Arizona. My theory is, and the way I'm thinking about it, is that there's a way bigger total addressable market there. And what happens in Arizona is that there's a super fast economy, 0 sales taxes, and the average age of the business owners there are 28 to 37. That means that there's hungrier, tech-focused operators that are competitive, focused on aesthetics, and care about scaling their business and actually being competitive, right? And I can't find that here. I'm literally closing deals with people's moms here. And then they just don't understand what I'm communicating to them. Like I'm not able to be seen or heard or receptive to what I actually know how to do, and I'm in the wrong place. And it's contradictory to everything that any piece of advice that I get from anyone is. But at this point, it's like I have to rely on my instincts more than anything, because I know that doesn't rely on the economy. It doesn't rely on any of these things, because no matter what, there's going to be a percentage of the population that never worries about that. And those are the people that I am interested in servicing. And those are the people that I'm interested in working in business with, not the general public, right? Like being Robin Hood, right? Except you're not robbing anybody. You're being helpful to the people who never worry about cash flow. You're focusing, if you focus on the people who can afford to take a risk, like, you're never going to run out of clients. You're never going to run out of money if you can learn how to be useful to those people. And that's just the truth, right? Solve a problem for a rich man and you'll never starve. Solve a problem for a poor person and you'll just have a friendship. And I'm not interested in friendships at this point. Like, I am focused on the mission, and there is nothing that will take me away from that. And if there is, it's cut out of my life, and that's fine. And that's going to piss off a lot of people, because it's contradictory of what you've been sold that this life is about. And no, I don't think that it's about money, and I don't think that money is the thing that'll solve all my problems. I just know that living in a world where I always worried about where my next meal is going to come from, where I'm going to live, having 0 leverage and just being another fucking bump in the road, is never going to be the world that I want to live in, because it's miserable. After I cruise through Arizona, I'm going to sleep on somebody's floor and just basically put myself out there and figure out if there is a market there for me. Can do a bunch of business, connect with business owners, leverage the connections that I have there, and basically put everything to the test, everything on the line, nothing to lose, just go all in. And then after that, I'm going to cruise up to Montana, and I'm going to learn how to build houses and barns and turn land into forced equity, because realizing that it becomes more about how much you can leverage your power and control into turning deal flow, into turning property into deals, right? And in my opinion, I think that's probably the most leverage I could have, is like useful to the connections that I have, which is a lot of real estate and all these things. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where it's going to end up. I'm building a personal brand, a lifestyle brand, a fitness brand, and a business brand all at the same time. Running a service-based business in the services space, running an online service business running an online service business as well, where I fix offers, show people how to make more money with the leads that they're losing, and amplify their success on the internet with real businesses, if that makes sense. So not like e-commerce, not like any of that crap. And this is where it gets interesting, is because doing all of those things at the same time seems contradictory, like not just go all in on one thing. And honestly, why would I go all in on one thing when I have the capacity and the bandwidth to expand to my limits and build all of these things at the same time? Because I can put all of my attention into one thing for a specified amount of time, and then I can just pivot, drink another Red Bull, and fucking go all in on the next one, and just do that over and over. And that way I'm capable of doing 10x more than anybody around me, because I'm willing to put in the work, I'm willing to sacrifice sleep, I'm not willing to fail. And that either separates you or burns you out. And honestly, like, I think burnout is a scam. It's just a lack of direction and focus. And no, I don't just want to have a business or a brand to make money. I'm trying to build legacy. I'm trying to do something significant because I know that it's not about money. Because I know that it's about purpose and fulfillment and having freedom. Because there's only one life, dog. And I'm not going to live it just working for somebody else for permission. That's not a life. That's slavery. That's literally what that is. If I have to ask somebody for permission for something, what's the point? So at the end of the day, this is kind of a soft introduction, and at this point, I just genuinely don't care what anybody thinks, and that is probably the most power and leverage I've ever had in my entire life. So whatever next is, whatever happens. I don't know what it's gonna be.